Hi guys, I have questioned in the past whether Nigel Farage is actually racist or just somebody who knows which buttons to press in order to whip up anger so that people will come out and vote for him and his policies. When it came to the riots, the MP for Clacton made sure to stay within the law so that he wouldn't be arrested for incitement, but pushed the envelope just enough, blew that dog whistle just enough so the racist and bigots would go out on the rampage. Someone who isn't as clever as Farage, but clearly believes in the things he says, Tommy 10 Names, posted this on Twitter that Nigel was attempting to throw him under a bus over the riots. Have a listen.
And that's as a result of the riots and left and right commentators, Conservatives, Labour, saying that I was inciting the riots, as if somehow, I was linked with the Tommy Robinson wing of politics. And I genuinely believe in my case that what's been said by some national broadcasters literally is insightful. Well, here, it's a whole lot worse than that.
In Britain, we've heard endless talk of the threat from the far right. Do you think that the elites understand that actually the threat from the far left is building and is serious?
No, I don't think they do fully. I think what they do understand, and electorally Labour are now terrified of many of the inner cities. Remember, Wes Streeting only held his seat against, a pro-Gaza candidate by simply a few hundred votes. So I think they're aware of that threat, electoral threat to them, the sort of the sectarianisation of politics. But I don't think they understand some of the real hatreds that are building up on the left towards anybody who expresses even a vaguely conservative view. Now, look, we talk about the threat from the far right. Of course, it exists. We know there are people out there that love violence, but I don't think. I honestly don't believe the far right's very big in Britain. I don't think most of those people out on demonstrations were members of the far right. They were just enraged people who are really, really worried about what's happening in our towns and cities.
We'll get on to...
So the worst thing about Farage, and I keep coming up back to this point, is that he's good at weaving truth and lies together and presenting it as a very attractive narrative. He's made a few points here that are correct. Is the far right large in Britain? No, it's not. But it's not necessary for the far right to be a large organisation in order to whip up anger. The people, as we saw, and I've mentioned it before, the people we saw inciting the violence were far-right organisations, and they had links to Northern Ireland as well. That's why we saw it mainly in England and in Northern Ireland. It was English nationalists. You don't need a huge number of people. You just need one or two to go out there and organise and direct the violence, for example, at an asylum centre or at members of the public. You don't need a huge number of people. People will come out because they see, oh, there's a riot taking place, and some people were taking advantage of it by rioting and looting. Not all of those people are far right. Some of them are opportunists. But the people organising it, the people directing it, were of course far right. But once again, he's right when he says you don't need, there's not a huge following for the far right in Britain, but you don't need that in order to cause a massive amount of trouble. Now, I find it funny, the commentator here from GB News is talking about the far left. The far left were not trying to burn down asylum centres. The far left are not trying to kick in people's doors and intimidate them. The far left are not attacking people on their way to work. That was the far right. What they're trying to do here is saying, look, there's a problem with the far right. Of course, we can't ignore that. But the far left are just as bad. It's a false dichotomy. What they're trying to do is convince the public that, one extreme is as bad as the other. And ordinary people are somewhere in between. No, it's not people are in between. Ordinary members of the public are looking on and saying, what the hell is going on here? Why are asylum seekers being attacked? Why are members of other communities being run out of town? We don't support that. The vast majority of people in Britain are not racist and they don't support these. But they're constantly being fed by right-wing media that Britain is conservative, that Britain is against immigration, that Britain is a country that is concerned about the far left as much as the far right. This narrative is constantly being pushed. And that's why you have parties like the Conservatives who keep banging on about bringing down immigration, because they believe that they can convince the public that immigration is a priority, when in reality, as we saw at the last election, the priority was the cost of living crisis and the NHS. But what's interesting here when it comes to Farage is that he's putting some distance between himself and the rioters. He knows that, okay, this has run its course. We put it back in its box for now. We may use it again in the future, but he doesn't want to be linked directly to this. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.